All right, we're going to try to get through a little bit more of this board meeting here. I attempted to watch the Dougie congratulatory ceremony, but it's really bad, really bad. But it's a very I can't watch it. I'm not going to post it to YouTube. It's just what you see is a bunch of elites celebrating each other. And if I were them, I'd celebrate too. I mean, they're all making fortunes right now while the rest of the world is suffering. Doug rides off into the sunset with $1 million in cash from salary, and who knows what his goddamn retirement is. I'm sure it'll be nice, even though he was hardly at Trimet. And then all of his executives, and they're all high six, they're in the $200,000 a year range. His whole club is celebrating him, and why wouldn't they celebrate? Right? They're all doing great. They get sick. They get $200,000 plus a year to stay home and have and do whatever they want, and they don't have to go to work. They don't have to suffer. They're making all this money while everybody else that's on the front line is suffering. No hazard pay for drivers after all they've gone through. There's still unreasonable discipline. Oppressive working conditions, and here are these elites celebrating themselves. It's such a picture of our country right now, where the elites, the top 20%, the top, very top, not the 1%, but the top 10% that are doing so well. All these tax-funded bureaucracies are doing so well, and everybody else is just treading water, and it's just horrible to have to listen to them. Horrible. I mean, it's like pornography almost. It's obscene. So I'm not posting. It's you want to hear a little bit of it. It's on Twitter, but I'm not even going to put it on the blog. Fuck it. It's just so bad. It's not worth anything.
So I'm looking at number 6, fiscal/budget impact.
Oh, yeah. So here they are giving the police state $900 million, completely disregarding the people that said they didn't want the police state on the system. And, of course, all the nice, we're not going to enforce fares. I don't know what they're doing because they're never around when you need them. So this is just another police state enhancement. They're just using your transit funds to enhance the police state. And that should be nothing surprising anymore at this point. I mean, this is where our country is, man. And if you don't have money in the bank and a home, you're in trouble here. The bottom 25% of our population is literally in the ditch while the elites celebrate each other. It's so obscene. I can't even begin to tell you how I feel about it.
That's correct. So it's not $66 million over 5 years, but it's closer to, the exact figure that I see is $98,517,839. That this contract would be extended from 2021.
Do you know what $98 million would do? I mean, $100,000 for one full-time bus driver. So $1 million is 10 full-time bus drivers. So $10 million is 1,000 full-time bus drivers. $100 million is 10,000 full-time bus drivers. This is $98 million. That's just so you're getting the right scale here of where the money's going.
2028.
I am incorrect, and the resolution is correct. So I stand corrected on my comments there.
Great. And I just want to point the significance of the vote that is before us today, because this is a large contract that our board is going to be considering. And before I continue to editorialize it, because I have other additional thoughts, my question to Marla would be, why do we have these 7-year contracts? Why is it not an annual review? And why are we also not voting on it with each individual jurisdiction?
Yes!
Thank you, Director Wade. Our contracts are 5 years with
Why?
1 year renewal extensions, 2 years, so that's why it's a 7-year contract. anytime either party can terminate this contract. So even though it is 7 years, and I hear your concerns if it's a positive contract, if we determine that Trimet determines that the Multnomah County Sheriff is not performing optimally under this contract, the contract can be amended.
Which won't happen, and it's a contract. I don't even believe her.
Renegotiated or terminated. So I wouldn't be.
Where's the clause?
The length of time, because we do have a termination clause that protects us.
I might add here, in terms of the 5-year primary contract versus the 2-year options, also to be in this, for Multnomah County sheriffs and our partners to be in this, they also need to understand what they're going to be hiring and creating employment and training. There's a whole infrastructure support side to this that is more than just a 1-year or 2-year or 3-year type of program. So there needs to be a 5-year piece of implementation work that would come with under.
Well, that makes some sense, but you know what he's saying? He's saying we will be increasing the police state. That means we're going to get more police, and we have to make sure we have the funding for more police. This is like the 50-year West contract, worst decision ever. But they knew what they were doing. They did that on purpose. They created that contract so that they'd make sure that, of course, they could get out of it, but they don't want to get out of it because it fills a lot of pockets. You have to understand these are criminal agencies. They consume our tax dollars for the benefit of the people running them. It's not for us. It's for them. And anybody that votes yes on a tax increase is a goddamn moron.
Underneath this upon approval. So a short-term contract would not suffice to give commitment to the partnership.
Yeah, commitment for police.
Do a lot of planning in the region.
We can't have the police do it on their own budgets. No.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful, and I think what I was hearing.
I mean, you have a certain amount of population in the district. Okay, the population of the greater Portland area is whatever it is, and they have police services for that population. So why are you adding any more money into that when you already are? You're not policing any more people, is what I'm saying. The same amount of people, but they're giving them more money that's supposed to go into transits, going into this police state shit.
From all of the different reimagining safety conversations was that we really need to continue to hear and center the voices of folks, particularly our young people, particularly BIPOC, who have been affected by, law enforcement or transit police. And I guess what I'm still missing and what gives me pause as to why I feel like this discussion needs to be tabled to a later date is that a winter storm just literally happened. The Clackamas County Board of Commissioners declared a state of emergency.
Yep.
I myself as a board member was without internet for about 5 days and just received a board briefing on this topic 3 days ago. And I just am missing the voices of my constituents in Clackamas County. I know that Clackamas County, there was a budget for $4.2 million. There are 8 additional jurisdictions that, I'm glad that Sheriff Reese is here to sort of speak on behalf of Multnomah County, but I think there are many other jurisdictions and cities that are missing from this presentation today. And I think that it would be wise of us as a board to delay this vote because all of the reasons I just had stated. I think we just need more time. And I think for me as a board member to make a decision, I just need to better understand in a public forum these contracts, the languages that are involved, and also just to hear from the other jurisdictions that are a part of it. So those are my thoughts. I think to have this vote now, just when we were literally recovering from a winter storm, and not having, again, enough people have the opportunity to really consider this, for the public to engage and have a discussion and come to our board and to talk about this, I think is a little bit of I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves.
Okay. Director Edwards, did you still have your hand up?
Yes, I did. Thank you. Okay. I have a question for Sheriff Reese, and thank you again for being here, Sheriff. In today's world, there's a heavy leaning on social issues and social concerns for an alternative to police action. Could you share what the relationship that MCSO has with social service agencies, and is it seamless, and is it amiable, and what specifically happens when there's an occasion for Multnomah County Sheriffs to be involved with some kind of an incident or interaction with the public, and they need someone that is more versed or skilled in working with someone that has a disability, or someone that may be a houseless citizen with other issues.
Thank you for that question, Director Edwards. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office has a really great relationship with our social service partners.
No, I'm sure they're wonderful.
About a continuum of care in public safety and public health, and they are integrated. So the work that we're doing as public safety professionals often intersects with our public health partners. So we have great relationships with organizations like Transition Projects, Central City Concerns, Volunteers of America, the Joint Office on Homeless Services, and others who work in this area with us. A lot of the folks that we see in public safety are also in the public health system. They have substance use disorders, they have mental health issues, and our job, quite frankly, is to connect them to services and resources that are going to have better outcomes than what happens in our criminal justice system. We're committed to that work, to diverting people from the criminal justice system. And then when there are people that are in our system because of the criminal issues, that the behavior that got them involved in some justice involvement, our job is to help them heal and to connect them to resources through maybe our pretrial services, as well as when people are coming out of our correctional environment, to make sure that we do a warm handoff to service providers. And that is a really vibrant, strong relationship that we have.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate that. And I kind of thought that was the attitude, much different than PPB, to be quite honest. And it's more of a rehabilitative approach than it is a punitive approach. And so I can certainly respect that. Marla, I have another question for you as well. Do you have a chart that kind of shows what happens in this plan when we have our agreements with the different law enforcement agencies, and how it comes down to the actuality of implementing the plan?
I'm not sure I understand, Director Edwards. Are you asking if we have a strategic plan on how we implement this?
No, I want to know what happens. We have a contract with an agency, and that agency is responsible for handling what we consider alleged criminal behavior. So we call them, and they respond. What happens from there? How does that process work? What does that look like?
A flow chart.
Yeah, so basically, if an operator can call into the Operations Control Center and request for assistance, the Operations Control Center will determine what type of assistance they need and if it can be resolved with a road or rail supervisor. And if so, they will send that road or rail supervisor to assist the operator. Sometimes it is a belligerent passenger, someone who's not responding to the operator's request, and they may ask for G4S security detail. Only when the road or rail supervisor cannot resolve or resolve the situation, and G4S cannot resolve the situation, and if there is danger to others and to themselves, that they will call the transit police to ask for assistance. And that goes through the Operations Control Center, or it will go through our Bureau of Emergency Communications. So it could be a 911 call that one of our riders just requests support. Does that answer your question, Director?
That partially answers it. So I'm a driver and I have an incident. So do I have to be the one to ascertain whether I need to call the intergovernment agency that we have a contract with, or do I call a social service agency, or do I leave that up to them?
That's exactly what they'll do, is they'll call the Operations Control Center, and OCC will ask the operator, what is your need, what do you have? And the operator, remember, we don't have the mobile health crisis response teams on duty yet, and we haven't hired that yet. That's going to be our next step.
No mobile health.
We will have to develop standard operating procedures for our Operations Control Center to be able to ask questions. And it will be something like, do they have a weapon in their hand? Or are they threatening people? Are they being violent? Or are they just talking to themselves? And that will help them determine what type of staff to send support, and whether or not a mobile health crisis team is needed, or a rotor rail supervisor can handle it, or a G4S. Very typical of any 911 dispatch center. When you call, you will ask the reporting party several questions to determine what type of response they need. Is it a medical response, fire response, or a law enforcement response?
Thank you. I would love to have a flow chart that I could see that would help me navigate my way through this. So that would be very helpful.
Wonderful. We'd be happy to work on that for you.
Director Simmons, you've had your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Director Way, I understand and I hear what you're saying, and I respect that that's your opinion at this particular time. It doesn't mean that you're wrong. It just means that I see the world differently.
Yeah, and we know that about you.
With respect to this particular resolution. I see that it has been in the works for at least 5 months. It has we've all been briefed, had an extensive briefing as an education.
Stand up to her, Kathy.
All of the parties involved in this particular resolution have been consulted, regardless of whether they had internet or they were impacted by the storm. To me, that's not relevant to whether or not we should move forward with this. The fact that there are fail-safe ways to evaluate and determine any point along the contract as to whether it's working, needs to be modified or terminated. And also with respect to the safety and security of our employees, as well as all of the people on the system. And I think the only way we can learn if what we're putting into place from the reimagining of safety and security is to actually launch this and evaluate it along with all of the other elements of reimagining. And so to me, I'm ready to support this today, even in light of your reservations. But I wanted you to know I hear what your reservations are. It's just that I don't share them.
Well, fuck you. We know who you are. You're goddamn
Kathy, do I see your hand up again?
Yes, I just want to respond to that. No, I think, so where I'm coming from with this is not that I am defiant around a better community model around how we tackle safety and security. So that's not, that to me, I think is something that over the last couple of months, Marla and team has been, working hard on with the reimagining safety conversation. So I am not against that. What I am proposing is that we just table this to the next March board meeting so that we have community input. We have more testimonies. We have the public to really look at this resolution and make comments. And
well, you already know how they feel, Kathy. You know how this goes.
County, because 105,000 people were out of power and there are still recovering efforts. There are students that are still lining up to receive hot meals in parking lots.
Yep.
I just feel like on behalf of someone who represents Clackamas County that
good for you, Kathy.
I would love it if we can consider this vote being delayed to next month. And I think that we would still have time to meet with the March 31st, 2021 contract, the sunset deadline that Marla just outlined. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like putting this 4 weeks out just so that people can get back in their homes, people can have stable internet, reimagine safety community members can talk to us directly about their experience and how they feel about these IGA agreements. I just feel like that is basically just what I'm proposing and asking board members to consider is that we delay this vote to next month.
Oh, put it in.
Marla, did you have a response?
Yeah, Director Way, if I may, it's my understanding that we need to allocate the fundings for us to be able to negotiate into the contracts for the other partners and subsidiary agreements. If we wait until the next board meeting in March, and that's why we have an urgency now, that does not give any of our partners time to get it onto their board agendas and dockets, because it does take a while to calendar. So the contracts will expire and we will be not having a police force. So
that sounds like such bullshit, doesn't it? Oh my God. We're not going to have a police. Well, good. Hopefully you wouldn't have a police force. They don't do anything anyway.
Don't have that wiggle room, unfortunately, as much as I would like to say that we do.
What are you going to vote? No, Kathy, just do that.
But we don't
okay,
have
vote
the
against
mechanics to be able to do this.
They're not going to give you what you want, but you can still vote no. It would be nice to see a dissent for once. There hasn't been any dissent since, I forgot his name. Ever since Kitzhaber threw what's his name off the board.
And it is unfortunate. I hear you
about
winter storms. This has been a year of calamity. We were ready and poised to bring this to the board.
What she's saying is we elites should not be inconvenienced by what everybody else has been inconvenienced by. That's what they're saying. We elites, Kathy says a lot of the people have been without power for a month. And they might want to comment on this. And these two hacks here. This Simmons, who's horrible, Blagg, who's a career police state official, and Warner, who's a career technocrat. They're saying, oh, we shouldn't have to suffer like the rest of the world. We have to keep moving.
Last year, and COVID hit, which delayed that process, right. And then George Floyd hit, which delayed that process.
Yeah, it hit, but it didn't stop the billionaires from becoming trillionaires, did it? Nope. The hypocrisy and lies that we are forced to live with on a daily basis is enough to make me want to jump out the window and just get out of this realm of existence. I mean, it's torture living in this realm of existence. You're watching these elites eating us. They're actually like cannibals. They're cannibalizing the rest of us. And we're sitting here allowing it to happen.
And we're finally getting out, reimagined public safety delayed the process. So as much as I would love to be flexible and I don't have the mechanics and maybe the general manager or...
In other words, what she's saying is this is all fixed. It's all fixed. There is no actual public discussion. We've already decided what we're going to do. Now you do your job, Kathy, and do what we tell you. Vote, because we're telling you this is what we want. That's how they always have operated. That's how, they make the decisions, these fucking career technocrats. It's only like 98 million. Why should you get another month to think about it at 98 million? Fuck, what's that, right? It's all payroll tax.
Legal can say that there's other mechanics. I think I've exhausted every method so far.
I don't believe you, Blagg.
Thank you, Marla. And I guess as a board, why can't we call a special meeting
Yes.
That's 1 week from now.
Why can't
So
you?
let's get to, I think we're going to get to your issue. Director Gonzalez, do you have another question or comment?
No, it was actually, Marla just addressed it. I was trying to figure out if indeed that existed. I was under the impression that we needed to give time for other agencies to essentially receive our decision and then respond to it. That was my impression. So it sounds like we don't have that wiggle room. And I guess while I have the floor, I'll add that I do see the unfortunate nature of having to make these decisions in the most uncertain of times, but I also understand that we did have IGAs in place previously. We did have IGA partners that decided in no uncertain terms that
corruption.
This was not something they wanted to continue.
Corruption.
And we had this open question looming as a board. I'm not at all surprised the question has come.
You know, it might be some valid if they ever did anything that actually stopped any crime, but they don't. We know this. We know this. The police don't prevent crime. They generally take forever to show up. Where are they? Do you see them writing the systems? I never hear any reports about it, except when the fair pigs go through, checking fares once in a while. You know, a whole herd of them come through at once.
Today, I was kind of curious how we would be transitioning from that previous model into whatever we would be doing on the heels of reimagining public safety. Even though I wasn't in part of the reimagining public safety process as a board member officially, I was happy to be able to participate as a citizen and through surveys and opportunities to have input. Other than that, I feel like this is something we knew was coming and has to be addressed at a time when we're fully aware that operator safety is important. We know that getting the feeling that when you get on a train or a bus, that you're in good hands, not just to get you there on time, but to keep you safe along the way.
You're bullshit, Ozzy.
That is, and so I don't feel like it's a wise thing to create a.
Just vote no, Kathy. Do it, okay? Just vote no. That's all you got to do is dissent. It'll carry without your. Just do it. Just do it. Come on, Kathy. Come on.
Break from that, and I'm not hearing that there's a contingency plan. If we were to have a break from an IGA contract. So I understand that these are especially critical times for operators to feel safe. And so I'm a little perplexed as to why
Ozzy, you're a hack.
You know, the operator safety wouldn't be more important here.
Ozzy, you're a hack, and Blag is a hack.
To address policing in a new way. But that's like basic for me, and I'm not sure.
Fuck them! Just to vote no. Okay, they're gonna vote you down, but vote no anyway.
Have a graceful transition into a new partnership that understands reimagining public safety and is happy to be part of that process.
It's all bullshit, man. We're listening to fucking bullshit. I don't know how I can watch this. It's almost as bad as watching the Kelsey retirement party. It's fucking lies, bullshit, elites. Fuck!
Something our previous partnership did not have space or interest in, I'm afraid to admit. So I'm grateful that at least we've arrived at this point.
Oh, you're so full of shit,
I see that we don't have wiggle room. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Bruce, this is Linda. Yes. I think it's time that we call the question and have a vote on the...
Kathy, vote no! So come on, Kathy, you can do it. Vote no, Kathy.
Just ask a question.
Go ahead, Edwards.
Come on, Edwards, say something.
Is this a road that that if we make a decision today to go down, there is no alterations to it or turning back? That is my concern and question.
Director Edwards, at any time, this is just actually putting funds aside so that we can develop the governmental agreements, which will have the details on it. And there will be opportunities to change out those details in the intergovernmental agreements as what the community needs are. So this is just
such lies. You don't care about the community at all. You don't. COVID-19!
funds and us to go and to the negotiations with those agreements. Did I say that correctly, General Manager?
That is correct. And I think as you've also articulated, underneath these umbrella agreements, these other different municipality agreements, i.e. Gresham and the other participants, there are, if the program is not working, there are exit alternatives, as Marla has indicated earlier.
Yeah, sure,
to get
there
out
are,
of the agreements if they're not working.
Yeah, right. What
so
are
this
they?
is not a
Where are
7
they? I
years,
see
it's
them.
over. It's 5-year primary, 2-year options to renew, and then within the 5-year primary contract, there are exit alternatives for non-performance.
So I'm going to,
if I may, Mr. Chairman, so if we have compelling reasons to alter the agreement next month or next week, and we want to
why would you
alter
do that, said Linda Simmons? Why don't you shut up?
Then we have
why don't you shut up,
that
Simmons?
flexibility. Is that correct?
Shut up. Look, $98 million they're committing here. That's 10,000 bus drivers.
I'll defer to you on that.
Well, I think, sorry, go ahead, Eric. Eric's our legal counsel here. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would say once the agreements are executed, then they're final.
They're final.
And so
there you go.
This authorizes us to enter into the agreements.
That's right. Did you hear what he just said? He just contradicted Blagg 100%. She said you can always change them. He said they're final. Who's lying? She's lying. He's telling the truth. They're final. You can't get out of them unless you can get out of any contract just by saying you're getting out of it, but you can be sued for performance.
Executing the agreement.
They're final. So you heard him.
What kind of time frame are we talking?
She lied. 5 years.
We are wanting to execute those agreements before the end of the March 31st, so their contracts do not sunset.
The contracts do not.
Okay. So, in other words, in that period of time, if there are, like I said, compelling reasons, then we can certainly make sure that that information is shared. So, if we do need to alter the agreements, we can. Am I correct in that?
No, he said they're final.
Let me try. Once you execute the agreements, to Eric's comment, those are the agreements.
Yeah.
Within the agreement, so up until the agreements are signed, the contents of it are part of a discussion, negotiation to get to that finality. So yes, they can be adapted if there's something that's untoward or not reasonable. So until the parties execute them, they're still in play. Once they've signed the agreements, those are the agreements. Within the agreements,
yeah, right. So
within the agreements, there are the capabilities for exits, if you will, for non-performance.
For non-performance. Yeah. Now how are you going to prove that? How are you going to prove that? This is lies. They're lying, just lying and lying and lying and lying. We have 2 directors that are actually questioning shit. I can't even believe it.
Signed at what is our drop dead date for signing the agreement?
The current extensions with the contract sunset on March 31st. We will need to...
Well, then what's the problem? Why can't you just wait till the next board meeting? If they sunset March 31st, why don't you just wait? What's the big deal? The next meeting is March 3rd. Is it March 3rd? Wait a minute. Do they have another meeting coming up here? Let me see here. Let me look that up.
Before those contracts sunset. Otherwise, the officers aren't permitted, yes, legally, and Eric can answer this, to be working for us because there is no consequence.
Marla, this is Linda. It's my understanding.
Yeah, March 3rd.
The reason we want to do this today is also there is some staffing up that the sheriff's office and potentially other agents need to do to be able to actually operationalize the agreements, as well as authorize the funds. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's authorizing the funds so that we can enter into the IGA negotiations and agreements with all of the parties. And so they can approve those agreements before their current contract sunsets and expires.
Right.
And that's why it's prudent to do it now, because we just don't have, it's going to take time to be able to send those contracts back and forth and to make sure that we have the appropriate language in those contracts. And that's why we need the month of March to be able to do that.
Bruce, I think we've had enough discussion, at least to find out if we're going to move forward or not. I mean, it's been an hour. And
I'm with you. I think what we need to do, out of deference to Director Way, is what she's asking for is a delay until the March meeting. The only way that can occur is if she wants to make a motion and it's seconded, and then we vote on that. So, Director Way, would you like to make a motion to delay this action?
Bruce, I think you have a motion on the table already, if I recall.
You already have a motion?
We already have a motion, but she's asking for a motion to delay, which I believe, help me out on this, General Counsel.
See,
it feels like we need to.
They're pulling the parliamentarian move. The parliamentarian move. That's what they're doing.
Well, Director Simmons called the question. She called the question on this resolution, and that was seconded. So there was a motion and a second. So now you need to vote on this resolution, 2102-07.
So vote no.
So that is going to be what happens now. So that's the next step. You need to call the vote.
So the only way that we can make this clear, the only way we can delay this action, if we want to, would be for everybody who wants to delay it, if it's a majority, would be to vote against this resolution.
That is correct.
Then we can see if there's a motion to extend it for another month.
There you go.
Okay, I think I've got it straight. Everybody with me on this now?
Vote no, Kathy. Just vote.
Sorry, I just have a clarifying question. So we as a board can call a special meeting, correct? I mean, we as a board, in our job description, we have the authority to call a special meeting. We have the authority to review certain contracts and contract language. I just want to make that specific, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Great.
So based on what we're discussing,
she's going to vote yes.
There's a
bet you she caves
to
again.
Resolution 21.
I bet you she's going to cave. You want to bet? I'll put money on
it. 07. We've had a considerable amount of discussion, and I guess I just want to weigh in here. Say first off, thank you to Sheriff Reese for taking the time to be with us today. I have a lot of respect for him and what he's done with the Sheriff's Department, and we look forward to a partnership. So I'm ready to move forward on this. So all those in favor of the motion to approve Resolution 21-02-07, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Good for her. Yes.
Any abstentions?
All right, Kathy. It's good enough.
Was there another no? All those not in favor of the motion, I heard Director Way, and is there another director? I'm not hearing any. So the motion is approved.
Director Edwards' mic seems to be doing something.
There's somebody talking in the background. I missed something?
Why don't you just call the roll?
Okay, so I have a resolution. I believe
call the roll, you fucking idiot.
So the motion is approved.
Fucking liar.
Resolution 2021 is approved. All right, let's move on.
Mr. Chairman.
Time for discussion.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
Given the concerns of Director Way, what will it take to call a special meeting if necessary in the next week or two?
And you're asking for a special meeting to be called for what purpose?
If there's if Director Way has compelling reasons why she would like to call a meeting, because her constituents in her district have some strong concerns that we should hear going forward, that maybe should be incorporated into the agreement, then I think that we should have that would compel us to meet and have that discussion. My question is, what would it take for that to happen?
I think this is where General Counsel comes in, but I believe she could make a request to have a special meeting. It would be to me, and then ultimately we would have the board decide whether we want to have a special meeting or not.
That's correct. And another option, if in fact Director Way ends up having some testimony from some of her constituents in Clackamas County or in her sub-district that she would like the board and or staff to consider, she can always forward that on. You don't need a special meeting, but that can be taken into consideration as the agreements are being negotiated. So that's another option.
Thank you, General Counsel. So I guess, and thank you, Director Edwards, for bringing up that point. So I would like to have a special session begin because of the extraneous circumstances that the winter storm has impacted to my district for all of the reasons that I had just mentioned before: power outages, internet issues, students in particular in various school districts that are really still struggling. And I feel like I would like, as the director that represents the Clackamas County region, I would like to call a special session so that we can not only hear those voices who may have wanted to participate today but couldn't, but also invite other community members and folks in particular who were involved in the Reimagining Safety project to be a part of it. So do we need to vote on that today for a special session, or is that something that,
well,
I guess,
I'm hearing you say is you'd like to have a special meeting to reconsider the action we just took based on and allow further information. So I think we ought to have if you want to make a motion to have a special meeting, please make that, and we'll see if we have a second and see if people want to do it.
Great. I make a motion to have a special board meeting prior to March 31st, 2021, to listen to community members around resolution 21-0207.
She's raising some shit here.
I second that motion.
Well, I need clarification. Would this be people commenting on it, or would the board consider revoking this resolution?
I believe what she's asking for is a special meeting to hear additional testimony for the purpose of reconsidering our action on resolution 20-02-07.
And point of clarification here, that, correct me if I'm wrong, is that a public forum or a special meeting, and does it matter?
Well, if we're going to actually take action to revoke action we've already taken or reverse it, we would need to meet in a formal board session.
And that would be a special meeting, which would not be a public forum. But I'm trying to figure. I mean, it wouldn't include the public comment session so that we can discuss this. I'm not clear on what we're signing up here, or what Commissioner Why. I'm not clear on whether you're asking for a discussion or a listening session, or if we do both, or what's happening.
I think President Warner just stated exactly what I was asking for.
Kathy Way raising hell with the board today. Good for you, girl.
Well, what I'm trying to understand as a board member is we've just voted 5-1 to approve a resolution.
Kathy Way.
And when there is a dissenting board member who wants to revoke that by considering additional information, it just doesn't make sense to me to do that. Let's move forward with this and get that community input as we go into implementing this resolution. And I mean, this is just illogical to me.
Excuse me, I am just not going to be bullied by another board member who's going to tell me what I should do, what I am not going to be bullied, and not do by the power invested in me by the governor of Oregon to sit on this board.
Okay, I don't have a gavel, so I'm not going to.
Is that I have constituents who were impacted by the weather, who would have loved to have more time in coming to the board and stating their concerns, expressing their opinions. And as someone who represents that region, I am just requesting that we hold an additional meeting before March 31st.
Wow, Kathy, you are fucking good for you, man.
Allow my constituents to come before the board of directors to hear their concerns on this particular resolution.
So
We have a motion from Director Way that would call for a special meeting before the end of next month.
Ozzy, you're a piece of shit.
To reconsider or the actions on Resolution 210207 with an opportunity for a public forum or public testimony to inform that decision. So is there a second to that motion?
I seconded the motion, Mr. Chairman, earlier.
Okay.
But I also wanted to comment on the motion and my reason for seconding the motion, because I certainly understand Director Way's issue. If my constituents were not able to give testimony or on the issue that's going to impact them, especially a major issue such as this is going to impact them, I would certainly be very concerned and not able to support that particular issue because I haven't heard from my constituents and they haven't had an opportunity to give testimony. So I think that's the issue here. I don't think it's so much of changing our decision as much as it is to be able to hear their concerns and their issues so that we can incorporate those into our thoughts in regards to these agreements that we're going to be signing on to. There may be some issues that come up that we haven't thought of. Yeah, we have not experienced, and those issues need to be addressed and brought to our attention so that we can address them as a body. And I think that that's important. I don't like it when we start getting into, debate becomes personal. That's not what we're about here. We're about working together to make sure that we're working to the good of the whole. But we can't discourage or and I don't want to use the wrong words here, but we certainly can't diminish the importance of one district over the others by saying that since my district was able to give testimony and be heard, and because of for whatever reason, inclement weather or whatever the case may be, that another district was not able to give their input, then certainly I don't think, like I say, and Marla stated this earlier, there have been many challenges to getting this done. And, we've had challenges along the way. We've had COVID, we've had George Floyd, we've had inclement weather. There's been so many different things, and and these are very volatile times. I get that, but at the same time, if 30 days makes the whole difference in the world, then after we've been going through this for a year, then I have to really look back and think, what are we trying to do here, and what is this really about? And so I think we need to strongly consider this amendment or this motion and consider it accordingly. And my best judgment is always when I look and say, well, what if that was me? Yeah. And when I look at things from that point of view, I think, well, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. I would want folks to consider that if I was in their shoes, then maybe my thoughts would be different.
Keith, I agree with you, but I don't know that we need a board session for that. It could be a listening session.
So I want to dispose of the motion here. What I'm hearing, again, Director Way is asking is we need to have a special meeting to receive testimony and with the purposes of reconsidering our action on Resolution 21-02-07. And my comments would be, we will have a regular meeting in March where the public can appear before us and make testimony. And based on that testimony, the board can then at that time determine if they want to reconsider this action, if there's people who make that testimony. So I'm going to vote no on this because I don't actually think it's a necessary action to do. So that's where
all right, let's see what happens.
Question, unless others want to comment.
I have a clarification on the
motion.
I'm not sure if it's baked in already or not, but the request I heard from Director Y was to have the listening session for the district that Director Y represents, and I know that there have been outages experienced throughout the region. My suggestion would be, if it's baked in, that we open it up to all districts to be able to have to take advantage of the listening session. But I'm not sure if that's something that's embedded in the if it needs to be modifying the motion, or if it's something that can be adapted after we make this motion.
I did not hear limitations in the motion, Director Gump, that limited to just Clackamas County. I think she made that reference to that, but I think we want to open the public forum to anyone who would want to comment on this.
My question then would be, Director Y, would you be comfortable with having the opportunity for other districts to be able to participate?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Are you going to vote yes, Ozzy? Come on.
With that, I'm going to call a question.
Vote.
All those in favor of the motion to have a special
you better vote yes,
meeting
motherfucker,
for the purposes of public testimony regarding this particular topic and reconsideration of Resolution 21-02-07, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, Ozzy. Okay.
I think Director Edwards was on mute, but
he voted yes. Kathy voted yes.
Or President Warner, can we do a roll call?
Yeah, just do a roll.
I was on mute. I'm sorry.
Do a roll call.
I'm sorry. So you want me? So all those in favor of the motion, what I heard is Director Way, Director Gonzalez, and I didn't hear you, Director Edwards. Are you in favor of this motion?
Yes, I am.
3.
All right. All those opposed? Aye.
Aye.
Who else?
Lori, did I hear from you?
Yes, I voted no.
All right.
Motion.
What I have is a tie, which that means the motion is not passed. So
you fucking motherfucker.
We're going to move forward to the next resolution
okay.
on your agenda here on number 4.
Well.
All right. The next resolution is Resolution 21-02-07.
All right. That's the end of this, man. That was all right. That was really some good action there, and I want to tell Kathy if she ever hears this. I'll send this to her. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for taking these people on, even though they kicked your ass, because that's what they do. At least you tried. You tried. You made an effort. So congratulations to you, and welcome to the disunited States of America, where we all have the corruption and it's institutionalized.